Happy Halloween, my Scooby-Doo and horror fans. It's me, the media guy here. Today I'm here to share my thoughts on a certain Scooby-Doo movie that's part of the Hanna-Barbera Superstars 10 movie series called Scooby-Doo and the Reluctant Werewolf. Yeah, this is actually the third Scooby-Doo movie in the Hanna-Barbera Superstars 10 movie series. And I assume that most of you have already seen this movie before on VHS and DVD, or at least saw it on TV a couple of times. But just in case you guys never heard of this movie, which to be fair, I probably wouldn't even blame you for it, have no fear, there's a description on the back of the DVD. It's Scooby-Doo's most fantastic mystery ever. Oh boy. And one hairy experience for Shaggy. When Count Dracula zaps Scooby and Shaggy to Transylvania in this ghoul-filled movie adventure. In order to enter a car in a eagerly awaited monster car race, Count Dracula transforms Shaggy into a fuzzy-faced werewolf and forces him to drive in a cross-country race held on the world's creepiest course in order for Shaggy to return to normal. He and Scooby-Doo must outwit Count Dracula and outrun a horrid of frightful funny cars driven by a spine-tingling assortment of celebrity monsters. Now, I find this one to be a very interesting Scooby-Doo movie. I mean, it does have a decent story with a beginning, middle, and end. Some very decent animation, especially for 1980s TV movie standards. And like I said before in many other Scooby-Doo videos, Scooby-Doo is still popular today. Some of the monster jokes are kind of corny, but a little bit funny. And I'm not gonna lie, not only that, this almost feels like a mashup between all the classic Universal monster movies and Hanna-Barbera's Wacky Races, in my opinion. Which is kind of funny and ironic considering how Mystery Inc. would have to face Dastardly and Mudley before in Scooby-Doo Team Up and Scoob. But I'm getting off topic here. And yes, I know that I'm filming this review in my living room again. I mean dining room. But hey, I like to film my videos in the most bizarre locations possible. But moving on from that, I honestly think Scooby-Doo and the Reluctant Werewolf is a frightfully funny movie. Sure, maybe it's not like anyone's favorite movie, but to be fair, I honestly think this is one of the most funniest Scooby-Doo movies ever. Considering how this is a made-for-TV movie and it's part of the Hanna-Barbera Superstars 10. I do like the idea of Shaggy randomly turning into a werewolf and then turning himself back to normal during the drive-in movie theater sequence. And it's funny how his hiccups are the reason why he keeps turning into a werewolf and then back to normal. I mean, it's like one of those make-up-your-mind situations, if you know what I mean. And it's kind of funny seeing how the movie theater goers at the drive-in were kind of freaked out about Shaggy turning into a werewolf. I guess Shaggy had to figure out that it was this guy who's responsible for all of this to happen. Yeah, I think this is the third Scooby-Doo movie to be produced by Hanna-Barbera themselves. And it's kind of a shame that we don't get too many Scooby-Doo movies that's similar to this. Like I meant, it is kind of similar to Wacky Races, but more of a monster-style movie. And I think Scooby-Topia brought this up several years ago when he talked about Boo Brothers, Ghoul School, and Reluctant Werewolf. And I might leave a link in the description down below for anyone to check out at some point. So I think Scooby-Doo and the Reluctant Werewolf is quite a funny movie. Yeah, Shaggy does have a love interest in this movie named Googie. And who knew that Shaggy was quite a ladies' man, even during the 80s. I guess this was way before he fell in love with Velma in Mystery Incorporated and her sister Madeline in Abracadabra Doo. Boy, and no matter what Mystery Inc. gets themselves into, Shaggy always seems to fall in love with any girl he sees. I mean, sure, Scooby-Doo and the Alien Invaders is probably infamous for that type of romance cliche. I mean, if you saw my review of Scooby-Doo and the Alien Invaders, you pretty much know what to expect. I also like the Monster Race Rally. I mean, seeing all the monsters drive their own particular vehicles. Like there's a skeleton driving his own bone-like vehicle. Frankenstein and his wife driving the Frankenmobile. We even get a little bit of a spoof on other monsters. Like Genghis Kong is meant to be like a spoof of, well, King Kong and a Chinese leader, also called Genghis Kong. That was like a little bit of a nice little spoof. And we even get a little bit of a Jekyll and Hyde type spoof in the movie as well. I mean, if you guys saw the movie at some point, you pretty much know what I mean. Not gonna lie, I almost felt bad for poor Shaggy when he was turning himself into a werewolf. I mean, you can already tell by the cover of this DVD that you can see parts of Shaggy turning into a werewolf. And I don't blame Scooby for being freaked out by this. All because of Brunch and Crunch. They're the ones who's trying to make sure Shaggy turns into a werewolf in 3 days. I mean, it took them 3 nights to get it right. But hey, 3 times a charm. Brunch and Crunch are kind of like the monster versions of the Three Stooges. Well, 2 out of 3 of them to be exact. Rob Paulsen and Frank Welker even provided the voices for Brunch and Crunch. Now, Rob Paulsen is probably not a stranger to Scooby-Doo. Yeah, he did voice one of the Boo Brothers in, well, Scooby-Doo and the Boo Brothers. So I guess he had some experience on this with Scooby-Doo. Now, if I ever get a chance to meet Rob Paulsen at some point, I might ask him if he remembered working on Scooby-Doo and the Reluctant Werewolf and Scooby-Doo Meets the Boo Brothers. Not sure if he does remember working on these movies because, well, he has done a lot of animated projects over the years that he probably hasn't got time to keep track of how many he has done over the years. I mean, you might know him better as the voice of Yakko Warner and Dr. Scratch and Sniff from Animaniacs. I think that's what he's mostly famous for. And speaking of the voice cast, Casey Kasem still did a good job voicing Shaggy in this movie. And rest in peace to the very late Don Messick, the original voice of Scooby-Doo, and the second voice of his nephew Scrappy-Doo. Oh man, I really think Don Messick is still did a good job with his roles as Scooby and Scrappy-Doo. I mean, sure, don't get me wrong, I have nothing against Neil Fanning, Frank Welker, and Scott Innes doing their own voices of Scooby and Scrappy-Doo, as well as Lenny Weinrib as the original voice of Scrappy-Doo. But I honestly think, but no one can outmatch Frank Welker as the voice of. I mean, Don Messick is the original voice of Scooby-Doo, and the second voice of Scrappy-Doo. Another thing I like about this movie is the gang entering a monster party before the race. And man, they sure have weird taste in food. Like finger sandwiches made out of real food fingers, burgers with bat wings sticking out and they flew off. Even spider spaghetti. Ugh. Maybe to a lot of monsters those sound delicious, but to humans and animals, ugh. I guess it's probably like the rarest time Shaggy and Scooby would reject any type of food that's way too weird and out of place even for them. Now, I probably said this before in my review of Scooby-Doo meets the Boo Brothers, but somehow on this DVD cover, Shaggy's wearing this green shirt. I mean, you guys probably can't tell because of the filter I used, but take my word for it. I mean, sure, you guys probably know about that already, but on the back of the DVD, Shaggy is wearing his red shirt and blue pants, even on the DVD. I think. Yeah, right there. Again, you guys probably can't tell because of the color filter I'm using to record this video. So you'll just have to take my word for it. So yeah, overall, Scooby-Doo and the Reluctant Werewolf is still quite a funny movie for everyone to enjoy. If you're a fan of racing, Scooby-Doo, or at least the classic Universal monsters. And sure, maybe this movie is not perfect, but hey, we can all have a good time with certain movies and TV shows that are just a little bit weird and unusual. So I'll give this movie 5 werewolf heads out of 5, because that's how wonderful this movie is. And before I wrap this up, I will point out that Werewolf Shaggy was somewhat referenced in Scooby-Doo and Return to Zombie Island as one of Velma's unsolved cases. Now, I still don't know how Velma got a picture of Shaggy in his werewolf form from Reluctant Werewolf. I mean, maybe Shaggy must have told her that off screen or something. Well, that's just my wild guess. I mean, if you guys actually watched Return to Zombie Island and spot that little reference to Reluctant Werewolf, you pretty much know what the heck I'm talking about. So anyways, thanks for watching, and make sure you don't run into any werewolves. I'm sorry guys, I just couldn't resist.